Hey everyone, it's Shotzi for the Rough Cuts. Right now, South by Southwest is going on, so super busy time in Austin for movies, and I just got back from some spectacular movies today, one of which I'm going to be talking about, and that is The Raid 2 Berandal. Okay. I don't even know where to begin with this. Okay, I absolutely loved The Raid. I talked about it on here 2 years ago, and I didn't really think it could be topped, but Gareth Evans has done it again. This was absolutely phenomenal. In fact, phenomenal is an understatement for what this movie is. It is just beyond amazing. It will blow your mind. It's a long movie. It's over 2.5 hours long, but it doesn't feel that long at all because it's so incredibly enthralling. I broke into a sweat watching this movie because usually the theater is really, really cold, but I had to take off my jacket in this because everyone around me, like the whole theater, you could just feel the temperatures rising of everyone that was in there because it was just so incredibly intense. Just, it will blow your mind, this movie. It is that amazing. Now, you have your same basic cast. Headlining, you have Uwais, who is reprising his role of Rama, who's, he just tries to do well by everyone. He wants to take care of his family, and this picks up right where the first raid leaves off. And his brother has to pay the price for the wrongs that he has done. And so, right now, Rama, he's trying to clean up the city and just kind of get on with his life. However, that isn't so easy to do considering what happened in the Raid Redemption. The thugs and the entirety of the Jakarta Syndicate are, they're getting a little bit rowdy. There's a lot of unrest amongst them. And so in order to get close to them, Rama has to go undercover. And in order to do that, he has to go into prison. So already it's leaving a bad taste in his mouth. But it works. He does get in there, and then he sees just how deeply rooted the corruption is. And so this is really a story of loyalty, betrayal, dedication, and the fights. I mean, there are like well over 10 really intense fight sequences in this, and each one just gets more and more over the top than the other. So, you even have some characters that are almost comic book-like. Like, you have Estelle, who is doing Hammer Girl, and then you also have Baseball Bat Boy, which are just their names given in this. And it's crazy. I mean, just absolutely crazy town, the things that they come up with in this. And so there are a lot of influences, such as from Old Boy, like with the hammers. And you see the character, especially of Rama, changing throughout. Like in the first Raid Redemption, you can see how he's really getting into like his mindset, like spiritually, mentally, and how he's training. You can see how he's getting into that, like with when he's practicing on the punching bags. And so Gareth Evans was saying how he wanted to do a lot of parallels to that in this sequel because he wanted to show how he's changed. So like in the first raid, he's really on the defensive. He's not trying to get into the fights. It's just more of reaching your goal and defeating this, running to the next one, defeating that, running to the next goal, and not looking for any trouble. However, in this one, it's totally different. He's drenched in sadness and in anger. He just really wants to get down to business, and in this he does. He has to get down to business big time. In order to do that, you have to get your hands dirty really just filthy dirty, and he does that. He gets in there and he has to take care of business and really just go for the gold, because if you don't, people will be after you for the rest of your life. So this is really about tying up a bunch of loose ends, and they do that. It's phenomenal. People may be a bit confused because there are a whole lot of characters going on in this. You have some of the same people that were in the first raid. I'm not going to say who they were because it was just a huge, just, not surprise, but you were excited to see them pop up on screen because you weren't really sure if they were going to be in this, because you don't know if they survived in the first raid. And so when they pop up in this, you're just like, oh my gosh, it's amazing, it's amazing. And so you get more stories of some of the characters. There's a lot more character development in this. It isn't all just fighting, although there is a whole lot of fighting in this, but it's very story driven. Oh my gosh, I don't even know like how to talk about this. There's so much to talk about with this movie. The soundtrack, the sound mixing. Okay, the sound mixing in this will just, it'll blow your mind. It's like its own character, because just the sound of crushing bones and ripping flesh, and it's just, it's horrifying. It's horrifying, but it totally makes the film. So the sound mixing, also the soundtrack, once again, is phenomenal. Gareth Evans got many of the same composers for the first raid, and then also 9 Inch Nails is thrown in there to round out the soundtrack. Great soundtrack once again. The cinematography in this is amazing. This time they're using the red, so they have a lot more room to play with as far as cinematography goes, compared to the first one where they're just using an HD camera. So you can do a lot of darker shots in this that they weren't able to do with the first one. So it's a different palette that they're playing with, and it really, really sets the tone for each scene, because all of the fights are very different. They're shot very differently. But you know, the amazing thing with the fights that really sets us apart from other movies, especially Hollywood movies, is that you have actual fighters in these movies. And so that just speaks volumes, and you can see it because you have the really long action sequences, and it isn't just down to clever editing that makes these look so intense. It's because these are like really high impact fighting sequences. And it's just, it's crazy. It's crazy. This was worth staying up until 4 in the morning to watch this, because due to technical difficulties, that's about what time we got out of the theater to watch this movie. And it was totally worth it. It was worth staying up that late. This movie, it's phenomenal. You've got to go see this movie. It's in theaters March 28th. So check it out. And here is a little taste of what you're going to see. So that is The Raid 2 Berandal, directed by Gareth Evans, starring Uwais, also Yayan, Ruhian, Estelle. Check this out. You will not be disappointed. Phenomenal cast, phenomenal writing, directing, choreography. Just, I can't speak enough praises for this movie. Go see it. Probably the best action movie that you'll see for the rest of the year, possibly the next 2 or 3 years. And there's going to be a Raid 3, which I think probably everyone's going to lose their mind over, just from the sounds of it and the premise of it. So check it out. Raid 2 for now, in theaters March 28th. I will see you next time when I'll be talking about some more movies from South by Southwest, including Neighbors and Open Windows. Until then, goodbye.